Good afternoon. Welcome to Good Guy Sports. I'm Jackson Gerke, live in Seattle. Right in front of the Space Needle. Here to talk some sports with the NFL opener tonight and college football, including that's right, the the Duke taking down your Clemson Tigers in a upset where the home crowd stormed the field against your Tigers. And yeah, I had to bring it up, but it happened, and that's what I wanted to talk about. And yeah, great to have. Yeah, great to have it. But anyway, great to have everybody on. Great to have great to have you on. With Stafford and Blake and Mike Roby on with us. Great to have you here. That I'm here in Seattle, despite that it's the afternoon. Here and
Jackson, why don't you tell everyone
people.
tell everyone
Blake,
what we're doing in Seattle?
Yes, tell everybody who Stafford is in the
so we are at right. So we are at Stafford's one of our dad's friends that he worked with for many years at a place called a floating home, which is where all the boats come by, and it's surrounded by a body of water. And that's where the show is taking place this week, in this top of the level third floor patio in front of their house, which is where I'm taking place, in case you guys are wondering. In a perfect, beautiful scenery view out here. And this is Stafford Green. My dad's friends, he worked for Coke for many years, and along with Blake Gerke and my grand, who and I went to high school together, and Mike Roby, who's one of my mom's cousin of ours, and Blake Gerke, my brother. So great to have all you with us, and uh great great to have all of you on.
It's great to be here, Jack.
Great to have you on. Right.
You had to wear the Duke Blue Devil stuff, didn't you? Really
Had
rub
to.
it in. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if you'll ever see it again. I mean, it didn't happen. Hadn't happened since 2004. So, I think it was a tough night for the Tigers, but I'm wearing black for the next team we play, because it's going to be their funeral.
Well,
better luck in the red zone this week.
Bounce back from that game.
Unbelievable. The red zone was we had the red zone blues, if you will.
0-4.
Yikes! I'm
Four
sure that
times
doesn't,
down.
that doesn't happen very often.
But we had 200 yards of offense.
Only one stat matters.
Yeah.
Score. Yeah, it was a tough game. And I'm proud of our guys. They played hard. We just got to execute better in the red zone, and we'll be just fine.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy game. It really seemed like I was saying the past couple of weeks that it was like the perfect opportunity for Duke to try and pull off an upset, because it's first game of the season on a holiday at home at night. So you get like the crowd going and stuff like that. You might end up pulling off an upset, which is, I guess, what happened. But yeah, it was definitely, I mean, fluky might be a bit harsh to say that, but going 0-4 in the red zone probably doesn't happen very often, right?
No, but I think you mix in. We didn't score a touchdown early, so then the kicker runs out there. He's got to kick a field goal. It's his first field goal in live action, which that's generally not a good mix if you're if you're going to start a guy's a redshirt freshman at kicker. So you want to get him out there, get him an easy extra point or something to get his feet wet a little bit, but. You got to go out there and execute. We can't make excuses. They try,
and it gets blocked.
What was that?
So they
said he ran out, and the first field goal attempt was blocked.
Yeah, it's. I think he kicked it a little bit too low. He kicked the middle of it.
Yeah,
I'm glad he was out there for that 68-yard attempt. That would have been, that would have been just as bad, I think. So glad we decided to try to score. But anyway, Duke played. Hats off to Duke. I mean, Riley Leonard played really, really well. He's got he's got some moxie. He's a gamer. I hadn't seen him play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised at him and the team in general, because not really like a national powerhouse or anything in football. So like having a primetime Labor Day game and getting a win like that, I'm sure they probably surprised a lot of people. But like you said, it is just one game, and so being able to sustain that, I think Duke has an easy game as well, I think, this week versus like a non-ACC opponent. But yeah, I mean, ACC is definitely not an easy conference this year, so you don't want to get too carried away. Clemson's not done. Duke's not walking into the Final Four or anything yet, but definitely a good way to start the season, though.
So what do you think of the ACC going 2-0 against the SEC last week?
That was big.
I think the Florida State one in particular was surprising, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was, oh boy. They put the hurting on LSU.
Yeah, because I think LSU was actually if I had to guess, LSU was actually a favorite entering this game, and I think everybody had LSU on the money spread, but yeah, Florida State, yeah, they're off to a great start after what happened to Clemson on Labor Day night. But yeah, I think this should be really be up for grabs for the Atlantic Coastal Conference after what they've seen over the last week or so.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, I was at Georgia Tech versus Louisville game on Friday night. Louisville doesn't have to play Clemson or Florida State this year, and so the winner, the championship will be determined by winning percentage in the ACC. So they may be able to waltz in and kind of backdoor their way into that championship if they can, get through their conference schedule. So one thing to look out for, the Louisville Cardinal, even though, their quarterback couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, I didn't think he played very well, they still have a way to get to the title game as well. So somebody they're not talking about could be somebody to start thinking about. So hopefully Duke can take them down too. But
so Jack, what do you think of Texas A&M and Miami this weekend? Playing in Miami could be another ACC win.
You there, Jack?
Yes, I'm here.
Uncle Mike was asking about Miami against Texas A&M. Do you have any thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I think Texas should be I think Texas is entering in one of the best recruiting years for Jimbo Fisher. I expect him to compete and possibly have them as one of my top teams, along with Alabama, who should be one of the favorites in the SEC West. Although I give the edge to Alabama, but Texas A&M knocking on the door right there with them, and I think they I would expect A&M to possibly go toe to toe with Alabama, but you never know. I mean, it's college football, but Texas A&M, I think they're going to be right there with Alabama, only if they stay healthy. But I think, but as far as the matchup goes with Miami, I think Miami should have a pretty good team, but I might favor A&M for that matchup, but you never know. But I'm still leaning towards A&M.
Okay.
I need old Dan. Dan needs old Miami to win. So I gotta cheer with my family, Jackson, because Mr. Dan's down there in Coral Gables, After a 5-7 year last year, they need a couple key wins this year. So I'm hoping that the Hurricanes take them down in beautiful Hard Rock Stadium.
Are they is the Hurricanes team looking pretty good this year, Grant?
I think so. I mean, obviously they won the battle for Miami last week. Who in the Miami off, they were more Miami, beating Miami of Ohio. Yeah, I think they look pretty good. I think they got some new coordinators, so they still are working out the kinks on the offense and defensive side of the ball. But like Jackson was talking about a little bit of recruiting. I mean, look, Miami had a great class come in, and I think they'll be able to compete with those beasts over there at Texas A&M. Hopefully it's a good game, but the Hurricanes can pull it out. It's going to be a really good test for them to see where they're at in their journey as a team.
Yeah. Well, neither one of those teams really played anybody last week, so it's going to be the first test for both teams.
100%.
I think the Canes is definitely going to have a better defense than New Mexico had.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think A&M probably have aspirations definitely to at least win the SEC West. And I think, like you said, Grant, probably for Miami, it's a good testing ground because they're still in the process of kind of building up their championship roster. So yeah, I know they played last year, and I don't think it was tough place to go away to A&M. Getting them at home this time around should be a good matchup. So yeah, that should be a fun game.
Yeah, that one's I think that one's at 3:30, I believe. So it'd be a good little slot in, for your afternoon.
Yeah. There was a good afternoon game last week. Colorado taking on TCU. Who would have thought the Colorado would have upset TCU in Texas?
J-Dog, what do you think about Coach Prime?
I think he's off to a great start. I think he'll get his team going and be a lot better. And I would expect that he would find a way. And I think he'll turn this team around and take it up to the next level. And I think he'll have a great season. Which you're off to a great start, and I expect them to have a great year.
I like it.
Yeah.
It was
think they'll
pretty
beat
exciting.
Nebraska?
Is that who they're playing? They're playing Nebraska this week?
Yeah, they're playing Nebraska in Boulder. And Nebraska loses, they'll go 0-2 because they lost to Minnesota last week.
There's definitely a lot of hype after week one with Colorado. So it'll be interesting to see how they keep it up.
Yeah, well, with Coach Prime,
the hype's never gonna die down.
It's never gonna die
down, is it?
But oh my gosh, his son, the quarterback, 510 yards in passing last week against TCU.
Yeah, I mean he was putting him on the money. I think he should have had more. He had a couple guys drop a couple on some go balls that I felt like should have been caught. So maybe should have had 580 or something.
Yeah.
He was dealing out there, and his decision making, I think, was the biggest thing. Everyone talks about the difference in the levels of the defensive backs he's been playing against, but I mean his decision making was sound. He knew where to ball, when to go there. So
that was just a fun game to watch. I mean, both teams were just throwing and scoring. It's like, just keep scoring more.
Yeah, definitely. If that 3:30 slot last week was kind of rough. We didn't really have too many. Ohio State, Indiana was supposed to be good. Didn't end up really living up to the hype. They didn't feel like they were both playing any offense. It was a big game. It was a nice big noon game, as they say. So
I think the other big game this week, Jackson, is Texas versus Alabama, right?
That's right. And this game is being played in Tuscaloosa. And I believe that's a primetime games. Which I'm assuming it is. So that would be yeah, that would be that would be that should be a good game, despite I have Alabama win this one, because you're in Tuscaloosa and they're always gonna, and Nick Saban, and you're always gonna find a way to win. So even though Texas is right there, it's just too much, just a little too much Alabama for this one heading into this game.
So Jackson, what do you think?
I
of,
think that Texas has got a chance.
You think so? I think they definitely almost won last year, sorry, in Austin. I think it came down like a field goal or something, right? But you think they have a chance, Grant, in Texas?
Yeah, I think that they you know, they've got kind of a similar profile of athlete that's at their school, and I think that you know, Bama better be on the lookout. I hope that Jalen Milroe can throw the ball, because I think they're going to load the box in, stop the run, and sell out. And so he better be able to beat him with his arm.
Yeah, that's key right there. If you want to beat this Alabama defense and its high flying power Nick Saban offense, it's going to be something to keep an eye on if you want to compete against a Nick Saban led team. All right,
100%.
to the conversation now with as we welcome to Stafford Green, and want to bring in Blake Lumberg with us. Great to have you guys on. I'd like to get your take and your reaction, and great to have you with us. I enjoyed the past few weeks with you here in Seattle, and
Jackson,
Blake,
we have to talk about a little bit about Seattle sports with Stafford, because we're visiting here in the city, and I think you should ask Stafford, even if he's not the biggest sports fan, but you should ask Stafford who his favorite sports team from Seattle is.
Oh, that's not really fair now, is it? So,
I was going to just bring in. We got Blake Lumberger joining us now, and I'd like to bring in with you and Stafford to get your takes on your favorite sports here in Seattle, and your favorite things to do that
Well-
it's like the best out of a few weeks on our favorite trip.
well, I'd say that. So we just moved here, so I'm certainly not an expert. So Kristen, my wife, and I have gone to just one soccer game with a bunch of Apple TV people. So that was fun. But that's kind of the only sports thing that we've done. We personally like to kayak. So we are living, as Jackson said, on a floating home. So we have like this really nice, water that we can get to. Here's Kendra. And we have kayaks sort of everywhere. So we have kayaks down there. So I'm a kayaking guy and a running guy. At some point I'd like to see some ice hockey, but we haven't been here long enough to do that yet. So we're still kind of new. But it's been really nice to have all of the Gurkies here this week, as we've toured around and seen everything from sailboats, a sailboat regatta in front over there, to the salmon underneath the sailboats at the Ballard Locks. So
it's safe to say Seattle, big water sports city. You got kayaking, you got boating, sailing. There's even seaplanes. So any sort of activity on the water or by the water, Seattle's one of the best places in the country for that, right?
yeah, then the University of Washington, they're huge in the rowing, of course, from all the history of the Olympics. So yeah, it's a really nice place to live. We're happy here, and we're sort of surrounded by people that like to hike So it's sort of a healthier group of people that we're living with. We came from Lake Oconee, Georgia, which was an area that people like to eat a lot of fried food and okra. So we're around sort of a healthier crowd, which makes us feel healthier ourselves.
There was a book out a few years ago, Boys in the Boat, about the
Yes.
36 Olympic team, and they all came pretty much out of the University of Washington.
Yeah, I've
And they
read
rode out
about
there.
half of that so far. It's a really good book. The
Yeah.
beginning shows like this guy had a very rough start in life.
Mhm.
He really pulled himself up from literally being abandoned by his family in the city to becoming quite a champion. So yeah, it's a great history here. And in the mornings when I kayak, there's I have to be careful because the rowers are always everywhere, and they really, they're looking the wrong way, so they can't see where they're going. So I have to be careful to dodge it. We also have, as Jackson knows, seaplanes that are landing all the time. So the rowers and the seaplanes, and I just have to be kind of careful not to get run over. But it's a nice place.
Traffic jam on the water.
There you go. Just don't. I don't want to have an airplane land on my head.
That would not end well.
That wouldn't be good. So Jackson, what's your favorite part of the city you've seen so far?
Well, we got back from Pike Place Market, seeing the fish toss back and forth. Yeah, that was fun. And then we went sailing, and
what about the needle?
oh yeah,
Needle. I
went
went
up
up on that. That was
that was a lot. That was a lot.
of fun. I enjoyed that. And then
I guess the Space Needle is right behind you. So there's
it is, yeah.
that's Jackson's right there. So
Yep.
and that's the needle, right?
We're gonna be very careful here, and
Right there.
Turn it around. It's right there.
Yep.
Yep.
You climbed
I
up
see it.
that.
Heck of a view.
Actually, I guess you took the elevator.
We did not climb on the outside. That would be dangerous, Stafford.
Yes, that's true.
Jackson, if you were at the Pike Place catching that big fish, you were not far from the original Starbucks. It's very tiny. It's right down the road. And it's the only Starbucks you can get a coffee cup from that has one thing different than every other Starbucks coffee cup out there. And I won't tell you what that is. I'll let you figure that out. But it's a cool little spot down there in Seattle. So go check it out.
Blake, first of all, it's great to have you on. To hear your voice, but you're right. Every single Starbucks in town, they had like long lines. So although my siblings were involved in one of them, but I don't want to participate in it because it's very popular and attraction. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them, like you said, and but yeah, there's like.
Wait, Jackson, this isn't breaking news that you're a Dunkin' guy. You're not throwing Starbucks to the side and saying you're a Dunkin' guy, are you?
I think he's saying it's a bit the lines are long and it's possibly a bit too touristy. People obviously like Starbucks here in Seattle, but I think a lot of people, the locals, maybe Stafford would agree too, like the Starbucks thing can be a bit overplayed. So sometimes you got to try the local ones and long lines and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the cruise ships get off and they all get in line at the Starbucks. So yeah, it's a little crowded today. But we did see the flying fish, so that's the important thing at the market.
That's like a must-do activity while you're there. So glad I was able to participate in it.
You said you participated. Did you catch a fish, Jackson, with your hands?
First catching it back and forth to the people who actually worked there. So
it was right next to somebody who did catch it and throw it. So about as close as you can get to the actual throwing.
I love it. Field
It was
pass.
pretty. Yeah, it was cool though. It was cool. Yeah, it was. It's one of those, like Jack was saying, Seattle staples, the Pike Place fish market. So that's definitely worth checking out. The entire market in general probably I would say is worth checking out. They have a lot of cool vendors and lots of great options. So I'd recommend I recommend Pike Place.
Now, are they throwing the fish because they're drinking a lot of coffee, or?
That could be a contributing factor. Yeah, I think everyone here loves their coffee, so it's a possibility.
Some of that fish there is butt ugly. The monkfish, man, that is an ugly fish. I'm surprised we eat that.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, I'm with you. It is surprising. They've certainly got their popular selections. I'm sure. We've had some salmon since we've been here, and a few other popular. But yeah, big seafood town. So should we? And Jackson, we should probably talk a little bit about some of the sports stuff that we did. Stafford mentioned that he went to a Sounders game. We went to the Seattle Sounders versus the Portland Timbers game on Saturday, the previous Saturday, which
Hey,
it was good, right? You had a good time there?
I did. Even though they were up 2-0 over their rival, but then right when the second half begins, the Timbers just come right back at it and tied it up and ended up in the draw. And
yeah, Seattle got a red card. It was pretty soft in my opinion, but you know, the rules are the rules, right? That was fun though. Yeah, we got to, so it's the same stadium that the Seahawks use, which we'll probably touch upon the NFL in a few minutes, but so same stadium as the Seahawks. And it was, I think it was about 40,000 people there. So good crowds, I would say. Seattle and Portland are two of the bigger soccer cities in the US. So seeing them play head to head was a very fun time. And then the other Seattle sports related activity we did was we poked around the home of the Seattle Kraken, which is Climate Pledge Arena. What did you make of that arena, Jack?
I thought it was very cool and special, and they do things differently than any other arena that you visit in the US or maybe even the world. So they like to be more natural, and they're more of a carbon dioxide kind of feel, which means that they recycle, and they are a environmental friendly kind of place, which means every other arena that you visit across the country is not like that. But for the Climate Pledge, they do things very special, and that's what makes it unique of how they do things for this particular place, which I find is very special, and which is a great thing, because I feel like every stadium should be doing this trend, even though they're not quite there yet, but it'll get there. But the Climate Pledge, it's really it really do things environmentally friendly. But that's why they are that's why they do a very special place. And but overall, we were just coming out of the tour, and we saw different like walk rooms with the visitors and the home team, and backstage areas, and the arena, and the different and we saw like different club levels and sections, and we even saw like the Amazon music room they had there, like the music that they control in the stadium. It was a very cool experience, and I gotta say, really enjoyed participating in this tour, and I was able to enjoy it. I just we had a great time, and I was happy enough to partake in it with my dad and my brother there, and I gotta say, very cool experience from what I have witnessed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was very impressive arena. And the hockey team is fairly new there. Maybe they'll be getting NBA team there soon as well. It's a wonderful facility. So yeah, I think we'll be keeping an eye on the Seattle Kraken this year because of the warm welcome they gave us. Does anybody else have any Seattle sports thoughts on our Seattle Live podcast? Anybody Anybody
Go
have
was
any thoughts?
Mariners.
Though,
M's.
you also
Go
saw the
Mariners.
University of Washington Stadium.
That's right. Yeah,
Lake
yeah. Dubs up
Washington.
as well.
As I
Yeah.
have my hat on right now,
Now, that there are rumors that they're going to be moving to the Big Ten a year from now. So that I find it's going to be a bit more complicated for any like East Coast team traveling to the West Coast, which I feel like I find could be a bit of a hassle, and for students trying to get back for like homework or like some study programs or whatever. It's just going to be a long day of travel for what student athletes study programs or study or like homework studies or homework or have to be back for practice for next week for one of your for your representing school. That's going to be a bit of a challenge after I heard about this news. And yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a long day of travel for those schools traveling east.
Well,
So along with-
Pac-10, Pac-12 is going to have 2 teams next year.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for this conference, trying to for a number of schools trying to play against each other, which I find it hard for the student athletes and for the schools, athletics or chancellors or the people who run those conferences. It's just going to be a tough situation for them for where they for what their future and for what they for what it looks like. And yeah, it's just nothing promising from what I can from what I've heard for one of your conferences, that just being with the merger from one conference to another. It's just going to be a bit of a tough pill to swallow after what those what those programs are going through right now.
Yeah, and Uncle Mike mentioned the Mariners. We didn't get to go to a game because they're currently away, but we did walk around T-Mobile Park. Also a very impressive stadium. All the stadiums and arenas here in Seattle, I think we've been pretty impressed with, and we'll be cheering on the Mariners come playoff stretch.
They're only one game out of first, and they've got the second wild card slot currently in the AL.
AL West is up for grabs, right?
AL West, Houston is only one game ahead of the Mariners. Houston and Texas are beating each other up. That should be good for the Mariners.
Yeah, exactly. So any of those 3 teams have a good chance. So as well, gets tiring seeing the same teams every year. So I think most people would be rooting for either Texas or
they had Verlander versus Scherzer yesterday.
Yeah,
Max didn't do so well.
Yeah,
he only lasted 3 innings.
The 2 guys that were on the Mets a couple months ago squaring off for the AL West crown. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Jack, do you want to? We mentioned the Seahawks earlier. You want to talk a little bit about the upcoming NFL season? Because if I'm not mistaken, the first NFL game of the season starts in a couple
tonight.
Hours.
Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions starting tonight. That's right. Although I did hear Travis Kelce being questionable for an injury in practice, although
he extended his knee Tuesday.
Not because find
is
out
he confirmed out?
Kickoff, but I don't know that for sure. But I'm gonna have to go. Just confirm from my dad that he is out and will not play tonight. That's what I've
sources close to the player have confirmed.
My dad.
Production support.
Why does he know so much about Travis Kelce? He must be texting with them or something, or him.
His injury is pretty bad, so that's just
he's calling him right now.
Yeah, in our family in our fantasy league, the not to call anybody out, but Kelsey was taken second overall, which I was surprised by. He's obviously, I mean, he's basically a receiver, right? So it's not like a huge, but I mean, still, like tight ends are tight ends, and taking 1-2 overall, I thought was risky. And with this current injury, it looks like the risk is certainly there. So I guess we'll see. Although I wouldn't bet against Mahomes. He could be playing with a bunch of third graders as receivers, and he probably would still find a way to get the ball downfield, right?
Right. He'll find his next man up, and I think his team will find a way to win and figure the plug and play kind of players. He'll find a way to get it done despite that. I think he'll find a way to get it done for his absence.
I believe the Belldozer used to play for Blake Bell, the Belldozer. I think he might be stepping in for them. I don't know. You got to check in on their roster for the Chiefs.
He's the backup tight end.
I believe so. He's one of them at least.
And how are his hands compared to Kelsey?
Well, they called him the Belldozer in college, so I don't believe that great. But he's in the NFL, so he's got to have some good hands.
Fair enough.
Let's see here. Yeah, he's still with him. So we might see some Belldozer tonight. Number 81.
We'll keep an eye out for him. I mean, knowing Patrick Mahomes will probably turn him into Tony Gonzalez by the end of the year. So
yeah, we're gonna get a little Blake Bell, Matt Bushman, and Noah Gray, all tight ends, coming in relief of Mr. Kelsey.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on him, and I'm sure we'll be cheering him on in place for Kelsey. We'll keep that one in mind.
Yeah, Jack, what do you think about Dan Campbell, the coach of the Lions? I mean, do you think he's got the right formula this year to make him a winner?
I think he does. I think he'll find a way to get it done, and I think he'll put the right pieces in, and I think Jared Goff will fit pretty good in this offense. I think the team stays healthy, and if they despite if you have Justin Fields in the division and maybe Minnesota, but I think Green Bay is just not the same with Aaron Rodgers, but for the Lions, if they have a great season, if they stay healthy, then I would just look out for them and just I might take the crown in the NFC North if they play like this all year, and I think they'll find a way to get it done.
I like it. Do you like him tonight? Are you taking him over the Chiefs?
I'm taking the Chiefs in a slight edge 1%.
Okay.
Game could go. This could be a swing game going back and forth. I mean, you got two great teams. And this could go either way. You got two teams showing up against one another, so that's why this game's going to be going like could be decided by either one. That's why I give them the edge of Chiefs still, but this game could happen in either way. That's why that's the kind of prediction I am predicting for this kind of matchup.
I like it. He likes the Chiefs by a little. Alert Vegas.
They're favored by 4.5, I think, is what I checked, which probably with Kelsey would be a lot more. I'm so surprised it's that low given they're at home actually, but I like Kansas City. I like Kansas City in that one as well.
The Lions had a good second half of last year. They won 8 out of 10. So they're a lot better than
they've been getting a lot of preseason hype. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always have to be a bit cautious with that, given they're the Lions and they're never good. But tough. Jack,
Jackson, did you
go ahead, Blake.
I was gonna say if you guys saw those running Bulldogs last week were up at the end of the third quarter against your old Appalachian State Mountaineers, and had 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter that all ended in scores. But we're beating App State. And that upset alert, it was a free pick for you guys. That upset alert last week, and then your running Bulldogs soccer team, Blake, that we talked about, tied number 7 in the nation with 2 red cards in the second half. So it was 9. They were playing 2 men down, and they tied the number 7 team.
This is
running
Gardner Webb we're talking about, right?
Yeah, Gardner Webb against they were playing JMU, top 10 team. They got Wake Forest, another top 25 team next week. So the running Bulldogs soccer team is playing pretty good, but 2 red cards in the second half is not what you want to do, not the spot you want to put your team in. So
yeah, that's poor discipline, isn't it? Yeah, the coach has got to take a look at that, doesn't he?
But cool that you guys went to the soccer game out there. That's in my opinion, and I don't know much about MLS, but the Seattle Sounders and the Portland Timbers, especially when they start sawing logs over in Portland before the game starts, that's a cool little rivalry out there. So you guys, in my opinion, got to see one of the top MLS games out there.
Yeah, I agree. Tour guide. Yeah. People, I think most people agree that it's like the best, like the biggest rivalry in the MLS, because even before the MLS was around, they had in the former professional league, the 2 teams existed and they played each other constantly geographically, and with being geographic rivals and all that. So yeah, we would think we definitely lucked out with the timing, but it was a good atmosphere.
Having 40,000 people there in a game that Mesa was not playing in is pretty good.
Jeez.
For sure.
Yeah, whenever Messi comes to Seattle or Portland, that will be big atmospheres as well. They'll be booing him the whole game probably, although there'll also be a lot of Messi fans that travel to the game and cheer for him as well. So
Oh yeah.
Are they still letting smoke grenades inside the soccer games? I was really shocked when I went down to the in RFK when I saw the Washington. What's their soccer team up there in DC?
DC United.
DC United. I was shocked when I went to a DC United game in RFK and they were lighting smoke grenades off inside the stadium after they scored. Is that still allowed in MLS in these stadiums?
not as far as I'm aware, you're not allowed to bring those in. Maybe they must.
They probably weren't allowed when you saw them.
I mean, I tried to bring in 3 neon green smoke grenades and they got confiscated. So if I think I might have got a raw deal here. I'm not too sure.
I'll tell you what, that was
back in the day at RFK when I was watching the Washington football team. Everybody would bring air horns into the stadium.
Oh,
when John Riggins would score a touchdown, they would blow the air horns, and his nickname was the Diesel.
That's funny.
And it's because of the Washington fans. The next season, the NFL banned air horns from all stadiums. So you're welcome.
I feel like Mississippi State's going to get the same thing's going to happen with cowbells because of Mississippi State, but we'll see.
Oh, you need more cowbell.
Need more cowbell.
Gotta have it. Yeah, there's some loud atmospheres in college football. You're right. Yeah, so that reminds me of like the horns in the South African World Cup as well. The Vuvuzelas, those were always.
Oh yes.
I'm glad they got those. Were annoying. Jackson, before we close out today, maybe should we? Do you want to maybe go around and say something that we're looking forward to this or looking out for in the NFL season for as a little final preview before this Sunday?
Yeah. So I think before we we'll introduce yourselves after I close out the segment here, but is that we got the Cowboys and the Giants on Sunday Night Football this coming Sunday. Then we got the debut of Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football this upcoming Monday. That should be a lot of fun. And then after that, it's going to be the first Sunday of NFL Week 1 this coming Sunday. That should be That should be exciting. Too, and that's and then the next Thursday we got the Eagles and Vikings at the following Thursday. That should be another great game to watch. But yeah, overall it should be a great week one of NFL Sunday, and that's what I gotta say from this front. But as far as the college football goes, it should be a lot of fun, and so it's gonna be another great week of hopefully Clemson will find a way to bounce back after that last defeat on the road against this tough environment against our Duke Blue Devils. I'm sure they'll find a way where the standings are. It's no big deal, long season. Yeah, I mean, it should be a great football season either way. That's all I got to say. But it'll be
Jackson, I think since we have so many people in the call today, it'd be fun if everyone went around and said something they're looking forward to watching this NFL season since it's starting on Sunday. So I'll start with mine, and I will say I am looking forward to seeing how Aaron Rodgers does outside of Green Bay with a new team in the New York Jets. They've got high expectations. They were a good defense last year, and now they got Aaron Rodgers to add that. Is he too old to compete, or will he immediately turn them into contenders? That's something that I have my eyes on. So now I'll pass it over to Stafford for one thing he's looking forward to this NFL season.
I'm having trouble hearing you over the airplanes.
fine. It's fine.
Let's go to Blake Lineberger.
I'm interested to see if the Buffalo Bills can finally get their get that Super Bowl with their star-studded team up there. I think they got 1 or 2 more years with this star-studded all-star cast. We'll see if they can get it done. Bills Mafia, breaking tables and all.
Very nice. Okay. How about you, Grant?
I'm interested to see if the Arizona Cardinals end up with the #1 overall pick this year. I think that they've got the weakest roster in the NFL. I don't know if their star quarterbacks bought in, or if they're going to go and just bypass them and head on to Caleb Williams Island. But yeah, so I'm excited to watch that, and just excited to sit down on my couch and listen for the magic words of 7 hours of commercial-free football starts now.
I think everyone looks forward to that. How about you, Uncle Mike?
Well, Grant, that's a great segue. We're going to hope to help you out this weekend when the Commanders beat the Cardinals.
Love it.
It's the post-Snyder era in DC. Everybody's excited. Hopefully we can get a new stadium done. And the Commanders game is sold out. First time in a long time, the stadium will not be filled with fans for the other team. So we're all excited about that. And Sam Howell's going to do great this year.
Very nice. Yeah, should be a optimistic year for the fans in DC finally.
Always optimistic.
Jackson, how about you? Why don't you finish this out?
Yeah, those are all takes there. That's what I was saying. It's Grant it's just for the NFL right there, college football. It's Grant. It's so great for you to meet Stafford and Blake Blomberger.
No, Jackson, I wanted you before we go. You have to say what you're looking forward to.
Oh, right. I was just going to say before I do that, I was going to say Stafford is great for you to meet Blake Blomberger and Grant Radakovich. Great co-host for us to meet each other one day. That's great to meet you all. But what I'm looking forward to is for this upcoming football season is Philadelphia. Will the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl if they stay healthy and if they have a great team? They have drafted all their defense has drafted all all the Georgia Bulldog players. They're talking about although I'm hearing they are talking about Georgia Bulldogs in the Northeast, which I'm hearing a lot of, and if I feel like the NFC East doesn't really always repeat its division, but I feel like that could be changing with this defense. If they stay healthy and if they have a great year, then I think this will be one of my headlines to look forward to for the upcoming NFL season. Will the Philadelphia Eagles stay healthy and go back to the Super Bowl? That's something we're gonna find out and see, and that's going to be that's what I have. And if they they have the capability of just like with this run offense, if Jalen Hurts and then one of their top players, and then Jalen Carter, those guys, and if they stay healthy, and yeah, I think they'll be right there, and who knows, maybe they'll find a way to be the top contenders in the NFC, if they ever get back there. But yeah, and if they stay healthy, and then of course you got Dak Prescott in the NFC East, and that same division, and then of course Aaron Rodgers, and then the 49ers, who are also going to be the favorites to win the NFC West. Despite that, it's going to be a Geno Smith. The Seahawks are right there with them. And then yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I think we all agree is still the favorite to win the AFC West, no matter who's with them. Although Wilson's a pretty good quarterback too. But yeah, in the NFC South, I feel like it's going to be a favorite for Derek Carr and Saints because they're going to stay healthy. I think they're going to have a pretty good season. But Desmond Ridder and the Falcons, and then and Bryce Young and the Panthers are also right there with them, although they're pretty good, but not great. But and then Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, they're not going to be that great, and that's where I have them, and that's my final thoughts and my take for the upcoming NFL season. And then everybody else in the AFC East, yeah, that's not going to be. I had Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers in that division, and that's my take for the upcoming NFL season. And now I'm going to stick with it, and that's what I'm going to close it out with my final reactions, my final thoughts, and my predictions of the upcoming NFL season.
I like it, Jack. I like it. All right. You want to wrap up the show today? Thank everyone for joining us, right?
I will. Stafford, Grant, Blake, nice to meet all of you. Great to have you on as a guest. Stafford, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you with Grant and Blake Lumberger. Great to have you on with our co-host Uncle Mike and Blake Lumberger and Blake Erkey. Feel free to come back, and it's great to be all with you.
Well, thank you, Jackson. It's been great to have you in Seattle this week.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jack.
Absolutely, Stafford. Thanks, Grant. Great to have you on. Hopefully I'll see you next time. If not, then who knows? Maybe I'll see you soon whenever you're free. We'll have you on soon. Blake.
Yeah, I would love that.
You, DL Weinberger. Great to meet you on with Grant and Stafford and my brother Mike Roby. Great to have you on. I hope to talk to you again soon. Go Duke.
Jackson.
I think we might have a poor connection there.
Yeah.
Connection from Blake, but
All right, we'll see him next week.
I'm on soon.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Jackson.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Jack. Honest mouse said. Hey, Jack. All right.
See you, Blake. Take care. See you guys. Have a good weekend. See you, Grant. See you, Bye bye.